Hi there, what have I got today? Well, I've got some foil and I've got some what looks like tracing paper. And I'm going to have a go at making a capacitor, which should be fairly simple. It's just 2 plates of metal with a insulator. So let's see what I can do. So okay, here we have some materials for making a capacitor. I've got some ordinary foil, wrap your chicken in it if you like, and some insulators. Now this stuff is well, it's just like a thick tracing paper that I got hold of for another project, but it should hopefully work as an insulator. So yeah, let's get this started. Now first things first, I need to smooth this off a bit, because this foil has got a bit of a pattern to it, but I want it as flat as possible. So first things first is to flatten that out, and I'll take one of these pieces and I don't know, something like a pencil, that'll do. Okay, now I've flattened them out. I've got these 2 pieces because these are going to be my terminals when I connect my wires, but they need to stick out, so I need to stick these onto the larger pieces. But I want to roll them up and make them a little bit more robust than they currently are. Okay, now I've got my foil and my insulators and everything else ready, so time to start assembling. Right, first I'm going to put some terminals, the connectors, on my insulator. Now, I've done 3 pieces, even though I only need 2, just in case one goes a bit wrong. But, hopefully it should be fine. So let's get effectively my terminal connected. Got a tiny close to the edge as I can get. There we go. Now that one's going to be turned over because that's going to be the first plate. And then I need to do another one on this side. Put it over here so it's opposing sides when I roll it up. Long, let's trim that. So fiddly this, I must admit. There we go. Terminal leg on. Now I need to construct the actual capacitor, starting with an insulator. then the first plate. This is fiddly because this insulated material wants to just roll up all the time. Got some rulers that might help. That one there, and this bigger one over here. There we go. All rolled up and ready for testing, I suppose. Trying out, see what it does. So let's give that a go. So okay, here we are with my capacitor. Let's test it. I suppose what I've got here is a little capacitance tester. It tells me what the capacitance is of stuff, because my multimeter doesn't have a range for checking capacitance on capacitors. So I bought this little unit from the internet for doing that. It also does inductance, but I'm just going to be testing some capacitance. So it's powered from this power supply over here, and it just takes 5 volts, works great. Let's just make sure we null out anything in the cables. It's great, look, it's already on 0. So and let's connect the capacitor up and see what its capacitance is. And that's not bad actually. Look at that, 16.67 nanofarads. That's a lot more than I was expecting. I was expecting something like maybe 1 or 2 nanofarads, or maybe something like, you know, 800 picofarad or something. But that's a lot more than I was expecting. So that seems to have done quite well. Mind you, 16 nanofarads isn't exactly a lot. Can't do a lot with that. I can't imagine that storing up any real charge, because it's just so small. I suppose what I can do is put some voltage into it and see what happens. So let's change this round and get a multimeter and see if it actually seems to work as a capacitor. Okay, so I've got a multimeter across this, and this capacitor is now basically in a circuit with this power supply. Just the capacitor, right? So nothing else. So let's turn it on. So that very quickly came up to the voltage, 5 volts I've got on there. But it is holding the voltage, so there is a voltage drop between these 2 points. It is actually supposedly charged up, but I can't imagine it holding much in the way of charge, because this is a very small capacitor, 16.68 nanofarads, so it's tiny. So what, let's turn the voltage up. And see, here's the other thing as well, it doesn't hold that charge, does it? It's such a small charge in there, it can't hold it, so the voltage is gone as well. I know that this multimeter doesn't help, but I expect that the charge is so small that this multimeter will effectively discharge it, because it's just way too small. Let's put some more voltage in now. I've got 12 volts on there, I think now, so this will probably charge up quite quickly. Instantaneous almost, basically, isn't it? I wonder if I could put a resistor in there and slow it all down. Now it's coming through the 1K into the capacitor. I'm reading this is still across the capacitor. So let's see how quickly this charges up now. Probably quickly as well. I'm not expecting it to be anything spectacular. It is only 16 nanofarads. Yeah, again, it's almost instantaneous. I think basically the charge on this is so small that it'll just charge very quickly, unless I have something stupid like a 1 meg on there, then it will charge almost instantaneously. which means I probably can't use it for anything. What's the purpose of this capacitor? Not a lot. I'm not really going to be able to use it for holding any charge, just because it's too small. Capacitance might be great for maybe filtering audio, or maybe high frequencies, maybe RF stuff, because 16.68 nanofarads is very small. But in a way, technically, that is a capacitor, and it's doing supposedly, I think, what it should be doing. Okay, the mass, and like all good demonstrations, here's a couple I made before. This one is 15 nanofarad, literally just under, and this again used the tracing paper stuff, like this one, and this one was 8 nanofarad, but this I just used ordinary paper. Now the actual plates, the foil that I used, I'd cut down to A5 size. So let's have a quick look at this anyway. Capacitance equals, well, that is meant to be the epsilon to represent the dielectric constant. Sorry, it's a rubbish font, but there you go. But anyway, capacitance equals dielectric constant times the area divided by the distance. Now the distance is obviously the thickness of my insulator. So what I've done is I've done some calculations for the tracing paper and the ordinary paper. Now, because I've measured the capacitance with my little gadget for measuring capacitance, I've got these values. I've got the area 0.03108 meters squared, and everything seems to be in meters or meters squared, so I've had to adjust everything, and that is the thickness of this tracing paper type stuff, and the measured capacitance was 15 nanofarads. Very much the same thing with this, only the paper's actually marginally thicker. So being slightly thicker means I've got a greater distance, so I'll have a smaller capacitance, which is exactly what I've got, 8 nanofarad. So slightly thicker, slightly smaller capacitance, same size plates, and hopefully I've got enough overlap that it's the same overlap, which is about the size of an A5 piece of paper. Now, moving quickly on from that, I'm thinking, well, how can I confirm this? I don't know what the dielectric constant of these are, because I've no idea, because they're just materials I've picked up. I've not bought them specifically knowing what a dielectric constant of them are. So I wonder if I can work this out. So if I've done this correctly, then to work out dielectric constant, then I've got capacitance times the distance divided by the area should equal that. Now with the tracing paper, this one, 15 nanofarads, I know I've got 15 nanofarads, or supposedly, just about, and I know the distance and I know the area, so put it into better terms so that I can actually put it into my calculator, gives me a supposed dielectric constant of 3.861 picofarad per metre. Is that meant to be metre squared or just per metre? Don't know, but that's what I've got. And for the paper, which was that one, basically same, slightly different, slightly lower capacitance, slightly thicker insulator, same area, in a format that my calculator can understand, I end up with 2.83 picofarad per metre, which isn't a lot. So how do I go back and then prove that? Well, I suppose the last bit would be to then go, okay, capacitance is the again the dielectric constant times the area divided by the distance, but this time without knowing the capacitance, or just assuming that I don't know the capacitance. So with the tracing paper, 15 nanofarad supposedly, it should all work just fine, shouldn't it? I mean, we have the dielectric constant from there, times by the area divided by the insulative thickness, distance between the two plates, which is, again, comes out at that. So we end up with 14 times 10 to the minus 9, which is actually 14 nanofarads. So it sort of equates to about right. So, and also the dielectric constant of these is really small, because you can see it's 3.861. I think, is air meant to be 1? So they're not particularly great insulators. And the ordinary paper, again, not much difference, basically the same equations, just a slightly different dielectric constant, means that I end up with 7 nanofarads. And I worked on my machine, it said, well, it just said just under 8, so it's 7 point something or other, so it's just under 8 nanofarads. So really it's about right. The thing is with these, it's a case of, okay, well, how much charge can they have? What's the charge going to be? Well, I suppose that's partly dependent upon the voltage that I put in there, being that charge equals capacitance times voltage, which is all dependent upon the voltage that I put across them. The dielectric constant is how good they insulate, so basically how much voltage I could put across them before they actually burn out. But then that's getting really technical, and I don't want to get really technical, but I have effectively made 3 capacitors. Trouble is, they're so small they don't really hold a lot of charge. So what could I be using them for? If anybody's got any considerations of what I could maybe test these out on, what sort of circuit I could put them in and see if they actually do something constructive, then I'd love to hear that. What your suggestions are. What circuit shall I try them out in? That I would love to know. So there you go. Capacitors. Homemade capacitors. So there you have it. Homemade DIY capacitors. Been quite a bit of fun making these. As you can see, they're quite easy to make a capacitor. But trying to make a capacitor that is useful, well, that's another matter entirely. We've got certain specs to be aware of. That's why there's companies out there that do it for us. Wouldn't mind being able to test these, see if they actually work within a circuit. So if anybody's got any suggestions on how I can put them in a circuit and test them out, see if they actually do anything useful, then please, in the comments, let me know. I'd love to find out how well they're going to work. Anyway, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and all comments are welcome, especially with how I could test them, and I'll catch you next time.